Ladies and gentlemen, please rise. And now to honor America, please join in the singing of our national anthem. Representing the three-time Stanley Cup champion New Jersey Devils, Arlette.
I feel like I'm at a game. Oh my gosh. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the
Happy Devils Sunday!
You must be in the bunker.
I am in the Bunker Studios somewhere in New Jersey.
I gotta fire it off. I gotta fire off a question to our Facebook group right off the bat. Douglas Walker, where in the wild world of sports did you even see that crazy kind of Patrick Hornquist and Casey DeSmith for Corey Schneider, Eric Ryba, and a second-round pick?
Time out. Time out. It is hashtag fake news. It is hashtag fake news.
Just let the lottery balls do the work, Joe. You see, we'll talk about why tanking is important. All right.
Well, let me go into my intro monologue.
Yes. Sorry.
Yes. Welcome to the Let's Go Devils podcast, season 2, episode 22. To tank or not to tank? I have to tell you, Beer Baron, we are streaming live on Facebook Live. We're on Twitter, Periscope. We're making friends on Twitter last night.
Every day.
Yeah, we kind of got ourselves in the middle of a little bit of a Twitter war, but that's another story for we'll talk about towards the end of the podcast. We didn't fire any shots. It's just we got contacted by a couple people about one of our statements that involve New Jersey teachers, let's just say. But if you go to our Twitter account at Let's Go to Pod, you may be able to see what's going on. Also, you can find us on Facebook Live / Facebook.com/Let's Go Devils podcast. You can check us out on our YouTube channel. We have a YouTube channel. What's the channel? Let's Go Devils. You can find us on Twitch, and I've been experimenting all week how to make ourselves relevant on Twitch. I think we have 8 followers right now. I was playing Mike Tyson's Punch. I was playing Mike Tyson's Punch Out as I was doing an experiment. Then I forgot that I was doing an experiment, and I lost to Soda Popinski. And then I said, F this. I said, F this. I'm going to go straight to Tyson himself. So I punched in the code 007-373-5963. No, that is not the number to call us. That's the code to get to Mike Tyson and Mike Tyson's Punch Out. And I got knocked out in 48 seconds.
Yeah. You got to get the unlimited stars, dude. Unlimited stars. It's like one of the few ways you can actually beat Tyson. It was the biggest pain in the ass. Real quick, Contra, give it to me.
Wait, Contra?
The Contra code, man.
Oh, I don't remember that.
Up. What is? Hold on. Go ahead. What is it? Do you know? The Contra code.
Facebook Live. We want to know what the Contra code is.
Up, down, left, right, BA, select, start, and what? And that's for 2 players. That's for my wife, who's washing dishes right now.
Oh, okay. Well, tell Nikki I said hello, and Nikki just made it. Her input made it to episode 22 of season 2. To tank or not to tank. So we'll be talking about that. One of our guests, we were supposed to have Dave Turner on today, but Dave Turner is doing a basketball game. He does a lot of film work, and he's a
very busy man. He actually is a very busy person.
But somebody did a slam dunk and broke the backboard, so it completely delayed.
Shaquille O'Neal.
Yeah, basically. So that happened. So and he felt bad. I said, "Don't worry about it. We're just going to have to replace you." So who did we get? Mm-hmm. We moved from the 9:40 slot to 9:15, 9:20. Our good friend from Pucks and Pitchforks, Nick Villano. I was lazy this week. I haven't been very active on social media. I figured
I have, and we'll talk about that in a second.
But I figured if the Devils take a bye week, I could take a bye week too. From all the madness. So I feel refreshed. I'm in the bunker studio in an undisclosed location in beautiful New Jersey. Somewhere. Am I north? Am I south? Do they call it Taylor ham here, or do they call it pork roll here? No, they never call it pork roll, and it's because it's Taylor ham. Anyway, so. We're on right now. Where do we start? You want to start with All-Star, AHL, all that jazz right now? Beer Baron?
Yeah, well, first thing I want to say is I don't know if you saw the NHL All-Star jerseys, but they are unbelievably awesome. So there's the all-black Kyle Palmieri one that I now want in my collection, the All-Star jersey. So if you guys haven't seen that, it is pretty amazing. I will say this much. In regards to a lot of people were freaking out on Twitter because the Devils recalled Cam Johnson and not Mackenzie Blackwood or Corey Schneider. And the reason why is because Mackenzie Blackwood is in the AHL All-Star game, and they want to give Corey Schneider 2 more starts in the AHL because that's all he has left on his conditioning stint. So that's why you bring up Cam Johnson. I don't know what. First of all, I have to. Okay, guys, seriously, pork roll is the product. Taylor ham is the name of the company. Is the name of the brand.
No.
Like a band.
Beer Baron, I just shut off your audio because that is absolute nonsense. So nobody can hear Beer Baron right now, but hear me. Okay, this is how it all happened. It was always called Taylor ham. All right. Taylor ham, John Taylor invented it. It's been well documented. There's no argument there. And then the federal government, the newly the newly formed entity called the FDA had some government bureaucrat had to butt their nose in to New Jersey and say, it's technically not ham. No, you're on mute right now because I have the floor. So that's where they get this pork roll nonsense from. But the bottom line is it was always called Taylor ham till the government got involved, the FDA. And what do they know? All right, what do they know? They're not from New Jersey. I bet you, and you know what? I bet you some politician got paid off with that. And we're going at 1906. Back in 1906, there was no New Jersey Devils. Cars, the Model T wasn't invented, and Beer Baron was still Stardust. Okay, I unmuted you.
All right. So with all that being said, it is Taylor ham, egg, and cheese if you're going to order the sandwich, but if you order a pork roll, egg, and cheese, it's just the same thing. So with that being said, now that I'm unmuted and you are off your soapbox, I believe the Model T might have been, I don't know, would you say 1906?
1909 or 1908.
1909. I think somebody would have to fact check that, but I think the Model T was in production. But I don't know. I could be wrong. Could have been the Model A. Anyways, regardless. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about the fact that the Metro Division won the All-Star game. Kyle Palmieri had a goal and an assist in the game. I have to admittedly say that I caught bits and pieces of it. I didn't really catch the full game. Same thing with the skills competition. I do have to say I'm so excited the fact that Kendall Coyne was a part of this skills competition. And if anybody knows me, if anybody follows me on social media, if you listen to our interview with Tatiana Rafter last year, I've been saying for a very long time that the NHL and the WNHL or the NWHL, should join forces and combine the All-Star game where they have players from both leagues competing against each other in a skills competition and also competing together on the ice and having, the 3-on-3 challenge or whatever the heck it is, maybe turn into a 4-on-4 and you include some of these amazing women. I think it's about time that the NHL steps it up and changes the way that sports are viewed in the United States. I mean, they could do something that's extremely groundbreaking. I think they took the right step in inviting Kendall Coyne into the games and actually letting her be a competitor in the skills competition. But they need to take it a step further. They need to be able to integrate women's hockey fully into the All-Star game. This is the best time. If you're going to showcase the game, this is when you do it. What people don't realize is everybody's like, oh, the Pro Bowl sucks. The All-Star game sucks. The reason why we have these games is because back in the day, we didn't have media coverage like we do now. We didn't have the internet. So we'd have these All-Star games because it might have been your only chance to see, players that play in the West Coast that you never have an opportunity to get coverage from. Your local newspaper is not going to cover the LA Kings or the Edmonton Oilers or anybody like that. So it was their opportunity to finally get a chance to see the big names of hockey or the big names of baseball or whatever sport. But now, because of all the media coverage has become like a joke, these games are just like a breaking point in the season and just kind of they take a little break and a breather. The NHL keeps it a little lively because of, they've changed the format a few times and they seem to listen to the fans as we talk. But this is their time to make a huge change, to integrate both of these leagues and, bring in, I don't care if you bring in the women's national teams and not just the NWHL, but it is a time, a game that they could, do something important and just highlight the sport in general, not just one part of it. Sorry, I'll stop.
Yeah, you know what they should call it? They should call it the Summit. Instead of All-Star game between the two leagues, the two women's leagues, they should call it the Summit. Remember the Summit Series, Canada versus Soviet Union back in '72? When it's called the Summit, it sounds angry. It sounds like it means business. All-Star, when I think of All-Star, it's like, I see the best players. Yay! The Summit, it's which league is better.
Which would be crazy if you could do the NHL, KHL. You know what I mean? How cool would that be? Like the Swedish elite leagues. You know what I mean? Like really have like that. You get the winner of the Stanley Cup. I mean, you wouldn't be able to. The only problem is like the amount of. You think about it. If your team starts playing October 6th and you make a deep run in the playoffs and you play in the Stanley Cup Finals, there's a chance that you don't stop playing until like June. We'll say June 15th because that's my birthday. So you could start October 6th and end June 15th. That's one hell of a long season. And even though they only play 82 games, that's grueling, hard work. It's not like, the physicality of football is a little bit more intense than hockey, but you're taking 82, an 82 game season with that kind of speed and that kind of physicality, and you're going to stretch it into the month of June. You know what I mean? Like it's asking them to do something that crazy about the Summit Series would be, I don't know. I think it would be amazing, but I doubt it ever happened.
Yeah. So I don't know if the listeners or the viewers are seeing that I'm wearing a Bobby's Auto Care.
I forgot mine.
T-shirt right now. Yeah, Bobby's Auto Care. I love Bobby's Auto Care. Do you guys like Do you guys like Bobby's Auto Care? I love Bobby's Auto Care. 2151 Route 57 in beautiful Washington, New Jersey. They did an oil change for my wife, but since she's a repeat customer, she couldn't say, "Hey, I know Sam Wu, that's my husband," to get the $5 off. But if you're a first-time customer at Bobby's Auto Care and you mention Sam Wu sent you and you get an oil change, you get $5 off the bill. $5. $5 is $5. Mm-hmm. Hey, So, but anyway, get back. Nick is going to be ready very soon. Beer Baron, so I'm going to have to dial him up. I got to make sure that I've muted my microphone, but we'll have him on in the next couple minutes. But yeah, I enjoyed that part. I enjoyed that CCM stepped it up and paid Brianna Decker for her performance. And I'm very, very proud of her. I'm very proud of CCM. The league could have handled it a lot better. I think they kind of botched it a little bit. Immediately when that happens, you pay her and then you figure it out the logistics later. But I'm glad CCM, stepped up to the plate. I'm so proud of the hockey community. # pay Decker. But that didn't need to happen. You could have done it right on the spot there and just say, "We love you. We love the performance. You're the best." And she proved it on that night. Also an all-star game, sweet jerseys. Kyle Palmieri, I think he had a sweet pass in one of the games.
Oh, yes.
A Metropolitan Division winning the all-star festivities. I also enjoyed NJ Devil scoring that goal. The mascot game. I enjoyed all the mascot pictures throughout. I thought Gritty, as annoying as that mascot is, performed very well as well. But it was nice to see NJ Devil skating hard and scoring that goal during the all-star festivities. And I've been to at least 5 or 6 all-star games. There's an NHL fanfare. It's a great way to see the players, promote the game. But I really love how they brought the women's game, that element there. And but meanwhile, through that all, Corey Schneider, AHL, his performance. So we'll be talking that with Nick Villano really just shortly. Also Mackenzie Blackburn. Also, there were some minor transactions made. I don't have it right in front of me. We'll go over that. But right now, Beer Baron, you've got a tough task right now. You got to go solo so I could get Nick Villano of the Pucks and Pitchforks blog on the horn on the Bobby's Auto Care hotline. So I'll take it to you right now.
All right. Anybody that's on Facebook, if you guys have any questions, you can fire away, and I'll try to answer them as I see them. Right now, I see from Jake, any picks for Lovejoy is a good deal. Now, there's a lot of talk about who's going to be sold off. Jake also said before, sell off Mojo, Boyle, Lovejoy, and Kincaid, and see what you get. See how the rest of the season goes. That's not a terrible idea. I would hate to see Boyle go because I feel like he is a huge part of this locker room, and I feel like he's a great presence and a great voice. But at this point, you need to figure out what you can get. Jake said Hughes or Kako. Oh man, I want to lean towards Hughes just because American kid, and then you can get the Triple H line if you put either him or Heischer on the wing. You could get Hall, Heischer, and Hughes. Then you get the Triple H line. Then they can come out the Triple H's theme music, which would be kind of fun. But honestly, at this point, we kind of jokingly say we want the Devils to tank, but the reality is this: they're in a situation that if they finish in the bottom, it is not the worst season. And I keep saying, I feel like I'm repeating myself every week. This is the best type of season to do it because of the type of the caliber of player that's coming out in a draft. So if you're gonna suck, this is a good year to suck. You know what I mean? Like, you put it this way: this is one of those seasons where if you can get one of the top 5 kids in the draft, you can start to move some pieces around. I think Johansson gets dealt at the deadline. I feel like there's a lot of people that are worried about Hall re-signing, but I feel like he's going to be fine. We'll talk about that a little bit more in depth in a little bit, but I feel like that is going to be fine. I know Douglas Walker wants to trade Severson. Get over it, Doug. He's here to stay. I just want to address this one last one. I guess that's it. We got to jump into another thing. So let's jump into it. And I had to burp too. I had to burp like building up.
Hey, what's in your fridge today, Beer Baron?
I've been really. I see Dogfish Head has become one of my favorite, and I've been crushing this Flesh and Blood IPA. It's pretty damn good.
Awesome. Well, the moment we're waiting for, we got a lot of questions. We're going to get a lot of answers on the Bobby's Auto Care hotline from Pucks and Pitchforks blog. We have the infamous Nick Villano for the State of the Fan address. Nick, how are you doing, man?
I'm doing all right. It was. I'm not gonna lie to you. It was a nice week off.
Yeah, I mean, I treated.
Wait, hold on. I gotta say something. Somebody said, "Am I avoiding reading their stuff because I can't pronounce their name?" Yes. I'm sorry, Nick. I didn't mean to cut you off. I just had to respond.
It's okay. You can tell I'm putting out Mina Pedalon that he can wait, and his questions will get answered later.
Exactly.
So, Nick, let's get straight to it. The topic today is to tank or not to tank. Right now, the Devils had their bye week. They're going to the second half of the season. What do you think the Devils are going to do from a strategic standpoint? Players, player movements, trades, bringing some of these young kids up from the AHL. What are your thoughts?
I've been toying with this all season, and I honest to goodness think that Ray Shero was tanking from the get-go. And, I mean, he made no moves, none. He hasn't made a trade since last year's trade deadline. He hasn't signed anyone who's not named Drew Stafford or is like a complete flyer. So I think that this season was always supposed to. He saw the top of the draft and he was like, this is my last chance with a guy like Taylor Hall because this is the last season you could kind of toy with this. And I think he thought, if I could get another number 1 overall pick, this is a Stanley Cup team next year. So I think that maybe that was the plan from the get-go, that it was a tank season.
Which is not a bad thing.
That's a very interesting thought, because I don't think the players will ever think that they're tanking. They're playing for contracts. They're playing for their livelihoods. I never believed that players tank, but I believe that management can strategically manipulate the process, so to speak, and put themselves in a better position, draft position.
Sam, so what you're saying is that the Taylor Hall injury is just a phantom injury and he's being held out so that this team can tank worse than they would if he was in the lineup.
No, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is I think it's a coincidence. I think that's a coincidence, all right? Because if I see Taylor Hall like Vladimir Malakhov skiing somewhere right now when he should be playing, that's a problem. But he's not doing that. There's no signs of Taylor Hall, going off at a casino, having a good time, this and that. I truly believe he's hurt, but I think that the Devils don't want to make any kind of announcement or what's really going on. For the fact of the matter is, it gives them leverage in potential trade negotiations, whether they're really tanking or not, or are they buyers or sellers. You want to keep those cards close to the vest. Would you agree, Nick?
Yeah, I mean, I think that Shero is one of the master negotiators in this league. And I think, when you look last year, everybody was up in arms because the Devils didn't trade John Moore. And it didn't seem like they needed him to make the playoffs. He was kind of having a down season, and teams were paying a premium for middle pairing defensemen. You see what the Rangers got for Nick Holden. I believe they got a third and a prospect for Nick Holden, who's not good. John Moore at least has speed and can score in overtime. But everybody was kind of wondering, buy a couple of players, but this one player is going to leave. You're not going to re-sign him, and you could get assets for him, and he didn't. The reason why I think he didn't do that had nothing to do with making the playoffs. I think that teams tried to lowball him, and he doesn't want to ever come out looking like, Chiarelli on any of these deals. So he'd rather not make the trade, lose the asset, but know he has the negotiating power to go in there next time and not start with a lowball offer, because the teams aren't going to waste their time. They're going to come in with a legitimate offer, and then they could go from there instead of going from the lowball offers.
So, Nick, at this point in the season, just, we've talked about this kind of ad nauseum and just kind of figuring out where the Devils are going to be. Everybody seems like they were making a huge deal about the Devils bringing up Cam Johnson and not bringing up either Schneider or Mackenzie Blackwood. So what is your kind of perspective of what's going on with that whole situation?
Well, Blackwood's playing in the AHL All-Star game, and that just kind of coincides where he couldn't play tomorrow. So I think that's why they didn't bring up Blackwood. The reason they didn't bring up Schneider is he was terrible in his rehab starts. Now, nice. Say the whole it wasn't his fault, yada, 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 but, he can't allow 4 goals every game to AHL competition. I understand the shots were hard, and, I just can't. I am somebody who has always made excuses for Schneider and told everybody to not give up on him, and, this is a confidence issue, not a skill issue, and he's been injured, and I could name excuses all day. But I'm out of them. I'm out of excuses for Corey Schneider. So I don't want him, even with the tanking, I want to at least enjoy watching hockey. And when Schneider's in net, it's just frustrating. And I don't want to watch the games. And it's my job to watch the games. So I can only imagine what fans are feeling. This is the state of the fan. The state of the fan is turned on Corey Schneider. Nobody can even make excuses for him anymore.
It felt like there was a good majority of the fans that never gave him a fair shake because he was coming in, and a lot of people thought that he forced Marty out, and this was going to be the next guy coming in, and he couldn't hold the candle to Marty, and blah 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 blah. So he always felt like he had kind of a decent amount of the fans stacked against him. But there, I was right next to you. I was one of those guys that was always defending him and always like saying, you know what, we're giving this guy, we're not giving a good enough shot, and blah 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 blah. And even when he was struggling, you know, I would do the same thing and make the excuses. But now it's gotten to the point where if you're in the AHL and you're supposed to be our number one, you, like you said, you cannot let up 4 goals to AHL talent. I mean, it's not like he's getting, you know, lit up by Connor McDavid. It was pretty ridiculous.
Yeah, no, I mean, this is, you know, and it was a good AHL team, but he allowed 6 goals against the team.
Yeah.
Like, what's a good AHL team? A good AHL team would get demolished by the Arizona Coyotes, or while they're playing pretty well. But you know what I mean? Like, the worst team in the league would demolish the best AHL team, or the best AHL team. So, he's not an NHL talent right now. So I don't, unless this all changes when he gets his first win. That's the only hope I hold on, is that this win streak is so in his head that he's messed up until he breaks it. So either he needs to get a win and then play like the old guy because he's got his mojo back, or it's sad to say they need to buy him out. Just cut losses. It would cost $2 million a year for I want to say 4 years after this one, which like, if you're not spending the cap anyway, you might as well use that.
Yeah, exactly. The cap space they have, it gives them the flexibility to be able to do something like this. You know, you got to look at it big picture, because if you gave him enough starts. See, I saw something the other day that was like the funniest, I guess, quote on Twitter, which was, watch what happens. Corey comes back, plays like old Corey and bumps the Devils out of the top, 4 draft picks, and they lose out on one of these generational talents. And that would be like the most Corey Schneider thing that he could do to this team. You feel bad for the guy because he's super nice.
I'll tell you this. I'd rather have that, because then at least you go into next season with a guy, with him, between him and Blackwood, you got 2 guys who can, maybe split time down the middle. And if Schneider shows me anything at all, then I'm happy, because then I'm like, okay, so we got the guy who's probably not ready to carry a full load, but at least once a week he could steal a game for you. And then you got the other guy who could kind of play the other games and keep him in it. Then, if you literally look at it, the Devils had even above average goaltending. They're probably, 8th or 9th in this conference, but they've had the worst goaltending in the league next to Philly. So this is what happens.
Man, it's a crazy way to think, like that they have the worst goaltending after what we've had for so many years. But all right, so let's say things don't pan out. Schneider doesn't pan out. Things don't work out. You get to this offseason. Do you think that they try to pull the trigger this soon, that they would do it this offseason to try and buy him out, or do you think they give him another year?
The only reason why they would give him another year is because every other goalie in this system is 1 to 2 to 3 years away, besides Blackwood. So you could go into next season, you could bite the bullet on the $6 million. I also think it has a lot to do with Taylor Hall, because if Taylor Hall walks in there and says, I'm not resigning a contract unless you get me some help, and they need to find money, then that'll change their decision. I think everything that they're doing is surrounded by Taylor Hall and surrounded by the free agency class coming in. So if they need an extra $2 million, an extra $4 million to sign a Mark Stone, or whoever they end up wanting to sign, and get that legit second line center, move Pavel Zacha down to the 4th line. I think there's a lot of things being worked, and it all has to do with signing a free agent to make Taylor Hall happy, to show him that this is a legitimate team that's trying to make a run at something next year, and the year after, and the year after, and the year after that. And I think it's all part of the plan. So I heard you talking about Taylor Hall when I was coming in here, and people saying that Taylor Hall is definitely going to leave. That's poppycock. And I'd say a worse word, but I respect you guys. So I'll keep you out of the FCC's ear. They're back in business now. The shutdown's over, so we got to be nice. But yeah, Taylor Hall, I can't see him going anywhere. He's legitimately happy for the first time in his hockey career The New Jersey media is about 20 people total on a good night. Anywhere else he goes, he misses the net for one thing, or he does he makes some stupid turnovers sometimes. He would get killed for a week on every radio show in Canada. So I just can't see him wanting to leave this cushy spot where he can make his $10.5 million a year. He gets to live in New Jersey, which is next to New York City and next to Philadelphia, so he could have the big city feel if he wants it without dealing with the big city media. So that's what I feel like every move the Devils are making goes back to this coming off season. That includes how this season is going, and it's tied to a bigger plan of signing Taylor Hall, signing another free agent, and then showing that this is a legitimate contender after that. Now, going back to the original point of Schneider, if he shows nothing, zilch, if he gets 0 wins from now until the end of the season, I don't think you could bring him back because he's broken in this uniform. He's broken. He's done. But if he could get a win or two or a couple and show, he could have a couple of those nights like he had in Carolina where he lost 2-1, where he keeps the team in it. He makes a couple of those nice saves. He shows some glimpses that maybe this hip injury takes more than a year to really recover. So, something. He needs to show something. If that's the case, I think they go into next year with Blackwood and Schneider and kind of play it by ear. Hines loves having his options anyway. So that's what I think they would do, unless he shows absolutely nothing, and then they just decide, you're just a blown asset. We need to move on.
So Jake on our Facebook group just asked us, what is the difference between Hall and free agency as opposed to Parise and him saying that he wanted to stay? And I want to field this a little bit before I let you go off on this, because I feel like Parise, he asked, there was a recent article, a recent interview that he had where he was talking about Suter and the fact that when they were both going to become free agents, he actually said, you should come to New Jersey. And he was like, nah, I don't really want to do that. I'd rather go, wherever. And he was like, all right, cool. Never mind. Neither do I. Don't want to stay here anyways. So I don't think Parise actually wanted to stay after, when he became a free agent, but that, whatever. I'll let you field this.
I agree with you. I don't think Parise ever wanted to stay here. It's sad because I liked Parise. And when he left, it hurt. But looking back at it from an analytical point of view, the Devils made the Stanley Cup that year. They named him captain. They offered him just as much as Minnesota was willing to offer him. They had young players that he was playing with. Adam Henrique was his center at the time, and Adam Henrique was a rookie. So he had young players to play with. There was a foundation in place. You had a GM that was willing to make the moves to make you contenders every single year. And he wanted to go home. That was it. He just wanted to go home. It was in his right as a free agent to do so. He didn't have those rights before because he was always a restricted free agent. I'm trying to think if he ever signed an unrestricted free agent contract with the Devils, and I don't believe he did. I think he always signed restricted ones. And then when he became an unrestricted free agent, he had the chance to bolt. And you know what? Guess what? That was the best move that ever happened to the Devils because they could completely bottom out. They could build up this wall of rookies or prospects that they have. And honestly, the Devils did exactly what the Yankees just did. The Yankees did it in a much quicker fashion, but baseball is a little bit different. But I'm just saying that you see where the Yankees are now, where now that they got those young guys and those rookies, and they're on those entry-level contracts, they could go and spend big. That's what the Devils are doing on a much smaller scale, yes, but in the same context. So I think that, it's hard to be patient while the season's going on, but I do believe that this is all part of the plan.
And I agree. And I think that the hardest part, like you just said, is being patient while all this is going on. And I feel like I'm more excited for this offseason than I've been for a long time, just because where we're going to be in the draft lottery, or if we're going to be in that top, 1 to 5. And as a lot of people were talking about on the Facebook group, there's so many, great talents that are going to be coming out in this draft. And then you have this, this class of free agency, whereas if, a few of them, if they sign a few different places, but offensively, there are some big names out there that the Devils could potentially add into this roster, and things would look completely different next season. So I don't know about you, but I just want the season to end so we can see what's going to happen for next year.
They literally need a second line center and a number one defenseman. If they hit those two things, and they need Mackenzie Blackwood to be a starting goalie, but I think you're seeing some semblance of that could be possible. So if you add a second line center from outside the organization, and then you add a top defenseman while also adding Ty Smith to the team, and you also add Jesper Boquist
Riley Walsh
to the team. Yeah, I mean, I think Riley Walsh is probably going to stay in college next year. Joey Anderson was obviously a surprise last year. He might come. If he comes, that's good, but I think in one more year, there'll be less of a logjam in the NHL side, and he'll have one more year of seasoning, so he has that lane to go right to the NHL. So I think Riley Walsh is another year away. I don't think his talent is a year away. I think he can be an NHL talent as early as next year. But I think it's just kind of what brought Will Butcher here was the fact that he had the opportunity is going to hold Riley Walsh in college.
That's interesting.
But, I mean, getting back to the point, you add Ty Smith to this team. Like think about this defense. If you kept Sami Vatanen, added Ty Smith, and then added a legit top-line guy like maybe – I'm not talking about top of the league, but maybe like a Tyson Barrie. So, I'm not saying that Colorado's going to trade him, but they've talked about trading him when they were bad. So maybe in the offseason, if they don't go anywhere, maybe they actually do trade him, or somebody of that ilk, somebody who's top 20 defenseman, and then you add him to this defense with, you keep Butcher. If you put Butcher and Green on the bottom pair, and then you have Ty Smith and Sami Vatanen on the second pair, and then you have Damon Severson and a number one defenseman on the first pair, I'm happy with that defense. And then you have a forward group where you got a top six of Taylor Hall, Nico Hischier, Kyle Palmieri, legit top center, and then Jesper Boquist and Jesper Bratt. I'm happy. And this is even talking about having a bottom six with, I think it's going to be a returning Brian Boyle with Blake Coleman, Travis Zajac, who found his scoring stroke again. I mean, this is a good team if they just make those two moves.
Agreed. Well, Nick, thank you for giving us the State of the Fan address this week. We'll talk to you next week.
We'll talk to you next week.
Great. Thanks, Nick.
Bye, guys.
That is Nick Villano of Pucks and Pitchforks giving us the State of the Fan address. What's going on with Devils fans? What's going on with the team? That was a pretty good segment, Beer Baron.
Yeah. No, I love having Nick on because, like I always say, he's extremely insightful, but not just that, he says it as it is, and he kind of tells you how it is. And I feel like a lot of the time we get kind of lost in the glitz and glamour of the guys that we would love to have on a team, or we need major changes and we need to overhaul all this other stuff. And he kind of puts it in the right perspective where, this team isn't that far off. They just need a few different pieces to be, put into place. And they also need to get some good goaltending, which I feel like that's going to be the biggest issue going down the road. You have the whole Corey Schneider kind of conundrum. You know what I mean? So what the hell is going to happen now? If he comes back, he's only got those 2 games in the AHL to play. If he comes back after that and he's playing pretty decently, then what do you do?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
because you don't want to bring up Blackwood and then stash him on the bench and then not give him, a bunch of starts. And then what do you do with Kincaid? So there's a lot of different pieces that you have to figure out. I mean, I feel like obviously Kincaid is going to probably be traded, which is sad because he's an awesome dude and he's a lot of fun to follow social media wise. And, the team seems to love him. Fans seem to love him. But, you trade him off. You trade off Johansson, unfortunately, and all these other guys and try to see what you get back. But I don't know. It'll be interesting.
Start stockpiling the picks and, if you're going to tank Ray, disguise it as an evaluation. You got to evaluate of young talent so you know where you stand. And I think Nick made a lot of great points, about that.
Bring up Mikey McLeod for crying out loud.
No, I didn't say Ray to do that. I'm just kidding.
And bring up McLeod and let him play in NHL for a while. Not one game for 5-minute shift. Try to make crazy. And he wasn't ready and blah 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 blah. Dude, seriously, he probably wasn't ready. He was probably nervous as all hell. But give him a couple games to figure it out. Don't just bring him up, drop him down. But I mean, I guess that's the life of an AHLer. You just
what's so sad about that, Beer Baron? What's so sad about that is that one game he played. We do this little midweek podcast called Short Shifts. Those Short Shifts podcasts are actually longer than how much he played that one game.
Exactly.
I mean, that was sad. I mean, but let's ask everybody in the Facebook Live, Periscope, Twitter, the YouTube chat, live chat. What do you think? To tank or not to tank? And also, I got some housekeeping stuff. Maybe we'll let it out of the bag, but we got a couple live events coming up in March. I think we should start.
2 of them.
Yeah, I actually got a couple.
That's right around the corner.
Yeah, well, I got a couple texts from our esteemed publicist saying, "Hey, we haven't promoted it yet," and I wanted to just tell her, "Hey, I'm on a bye week. I'm not working right now." Exactly. But she's absolutely right. March 2nd, and should we give the other date? March 9th, we are going to be at the Mother's Ale House in beautiful Wayne, New Jersey. I think it's 95 Mountain View Boulevard. I think that's the road. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Mountain View. Any place that has Mountain View in it is a good place. Any road I've been on, Mountain View is
It is it's a great area. I have to tell you though, Mother's Ale House is legitimately, one of my favorite places because it is just wall to wall televisions. And when we were there last time and we did the live podcast, they turned in that little section in the back. They turned every single TV into the Devils game, and it was like, my God, this is what my man cave would look like in my dreams. This is it's amazing. So I'm looking forward. I can't wait to go back.
Also, I've got an idea because this is going to be an interesting month. Tomorrow, the Devils play Pittsburgh. Kincaid, somebody said on the Facebook Live group that good luck to Kincaid. I hope you do well, get that trade value up. And then Thursday, you have the first meeting of Devils Rangers at the Prudential Center. That's going to be a good matchup. But you know what matchup I'm looking forward to in the month of February? February 19th, Devils Penguins. Do you know what night that is? That's a Tuesday night. It's 90s theme night, apparently.
Ooh.
I haven't. My wife told me, and she heard it somewhere. It's 90s theme, and you know what they're giving out?
What?
David Putty bobblehead dolls.
No. I need about 5 of them.
Well, and we went on that whole thing with.
You got to think he's going to be at the game.
Oh, he's got to be. Now I got to go grab tickets. Now I got to start. Now I got to bring all my family because I'm going to be the guy. Night? I'm going to be the guy collecting these bobbleheads, but instead of selling them on eBay at like $50 to $100, I'm going to try my best to get my hands on these bobbleheads, and I'm going to put it in my fish tank, and we're going to have contests giving away David Putty bobblehead.
All right.
Now, Facebook Live, tell me if you want us to do that. Give us give us some love in the Facebook Live that you want us to steal. No, we're not going to steal. We're going to take all the bobbleheads we can legally and give it away because we don't believe in, reselling it at a high actually gouging. Let's just gouging because we want fans to make money, but we don't want it to be like a machine. Yeah, the gougers.
That was the name of Pooh's hockey team in The Simpsons. But anyways,
yep.
So going back to our original question to the Facebook group, it seems like everybody's all on board on the tank. Even Terry Hughes. Terry Hughes, are you related to Jack? And if so, will he like New Jersey? No, but it seems like everybody's on board for the tank, and it feels like this is one of those years that it's okay to do it. It's okay to tank. It's okay to be in a bad spot. And I feel like if you go to a game and it's frustrating, and trust me, we've all been to those games where you're like so pumped and you're like, yes, I get to go to a game. I'm here. I'm ready to go. Yeah, you have a beer with your buddies and you're standing in the stands and everything's great, and you get the Arlette comes out and sings and you're like, yes, and you're pumped. And then they completely crap the bed, and you're like, well, that sucked. This is a good year, man. This is a good year to do it. Nick just gave me so much hope and made me so excited for what's going to come this offseason, because he said a number one defenseman. What's the number one defenseman that's going to be available in the UFA or as a UFA?
Let me think about this one. Is he swimming with the Sharks right now?
Bingo. If we can get Erik Karlsson, all right, you inject him into the lineup. If the Devils can get another, like Nick said, maybe a top flight center, there's a lot of talent on the offensive side that's going to be coming out in the free agent market this year. If the Devils can make a big splash, if they can sign one or two of these guys, I hear a lot of people saying Stone. There's been a lot of people that are saying that Panarin will be an option for the Devils because he wants to be a part of this area, but doesn't want to play for the Rangers necessarily because he doesn't want to feel the pressure for playing for the Rangers, but he still wants to live in the New York area. Well, that means us. So I don't know who. Maybe this is another question for the Facebook group. The two free agents, if you could narrow it down to two, that the Devils could sign to this team to make an instant impact to this team, what two should they sign?
That's a great question. That's a great question, Beer Baron.
Mm-hmm.
That is a great question.
If you could narrow it down to two, but that's the hard part. If you can narrow it down to two, and we're going to say that Karlsson hits the free market, because I think it's once the trade deadline hits, he's able then to sign an extension with the Sharks. I think that's how it works. It's like once free agency ends or whatever, or not free agency, the trade deadline. Once that hits, I think he can sign an extension. But let's pretend that he doesn't, and he wants to become a UFA. So
yeah, let's just
UFAs,
pretend.
Yes, exactly. What two UFAs would you want the Devils? And take a look at the list, because you have a bunch of decent names that are going to be free agents this year.
Where is that list? I don't have it in front of me.
Stop being so negative. He's not coming here. Come on, man. Glass half full. Beer can half full. Let's go.
Come on, Doug. You got to kick it up a notch.
Come on, Doug.
Come on, Doug. None of this negativity. We don't need this negativity. We already have enough negativity in this world. I mean, we were getting in the middle of Twitter fights
exactly.
last night. Involving
his reply is, he isn't. Oh hum. Listen, Doug, okay. Come on, man. Christopher says, tank now. Sign a couple of FAs plus a top draft pick, and it could change his team. I 100% agree, especially if you get some kind of generational talent like Jack Hughes, or apparently Capo Caco could be the same way. So listen, man, we could be looking at a team next year that is high and ready to go to the playoffs. You know what I mean? Like, we could be looking at a team. We could be looking at the Devils next year and being like, all right, man, we're at the halfway point of the season. We're at the All-Star break. We got 3 guys in the All-Star game. This is pretty incredible. Blah blah blah. Let's see who they're going to play in the playoffs. What moves can they make for the blah blah blah. So who knows, man? Like, this team could look exponentially different come next year. Come to a year from. I wish we could just take a snapshot in time. We can record this conversation. Oh wait, we are.
Yeah, we are.
And play it back a year from now and be like, dang, we were sitting around, and then I'll ask Douglas, how full is your beer can?
Yeah. Do you remember the time during season 2, episode 22, when we were asking the Facebook Live and Periscope, Twitter, and YouTube Live chat to tank or not to tank, and that guy Doug was just get rid of Severson. Carlson's not coming here. Okay, I'll be positive.
We say this with love, Doug. By the way, we say this with absolute love.
We love. We also love Eric Burns. He's not here, but Eric, if you're listening, watching on the replay, you got to stockpile the Bunker Studio with a bunch of M&Ms and candy.
Am I drinking for Hughes? Sure, Joe. Sure.
Oh yeah. That's the Shorts Guy contest or whatever that we do. But yeah, so we're gonna start giving away stuff. I thought about during the bye. It's like, giving away that bobblehead, Joseph Gerald, which, by the way, we did post it. He actually was kind enough to take a picture of his man cave, which looks like a multi-million-dollar home theater system that he's got there.
Jeez,
but
Louise.
Took a picture of the bobblehead, and when I packed the bobblehead, I put in some Ranger Suck confetti in it.
Hey, all right.
Yeah, I'm just waiting to hear from Joseph Gerald. Did it spill all over your floor? And he also asked, can I enter the contest again for the David Putty bobblehead? Of course you can. Of course you can. I'm not saying you're going to win. Now, if you do win that bobblehead, there's going to be conspiracy theories flying all over the Facebook, Live and Periscope and Twitter and all that. But,
Mm-hmm. I just want to answer Christopher. Christopher, yes. Gardner would be. And honestly, I don't know if anybody's been following his adventure up in Toronto and the fact that the Toronto fans have been booing the crap out of this poor kid. Gardner is a hell of a defenseman, and if we could get him, I'd be more than happy to have him. So, just saying. And Douglas, come on, Douglas. Killing me. Smalls, you're killing me.
Beer Baron, do you remember? You're talking about Jake Gardner, right?
Yes, buddy.
Yeah, remember when we were following him with Minnesota high school hockey tournament when he was junior?
Yeah.
And we did a little publish. We published something. This is back in our old days, but you know what I'm talking about. That was pretty cool. I mean, we were just young bucks back then. Wow, that was like
100 years.
That was like 10 years ago, right? Oh boy. So
see, David Holiday's got it.
Too good. D-men, Doug. David Holiday. Where? Oh, Doug, you're killing us.
And we got to say what's up
to
Paul Maurice. Paul Maurice is on the board.
He's also known as Ad Guy Paul.
Mm-hmm.
Love Ad Guy Paul. Love that guy. Love everybody on the Facebook Live, Twitter, Periscope, YouTube. Second half of the season, now that the bye week's over, we're going to be doing a lot of new things. But March 2nd, March 9th, Mother's Ale House. We have lined up some guests.
Nice touch.
Oh, okay. Great. You see, that's what we do for our fans. All right. We go the extra mile. I mean, how many other Devils podcasts have as many comments as ours, which we love our listeners and viewers or whatever we call you minions. But we also give away stuff. Now, I know other stations do that or other radio stations or whatever, but hey, we get the good stuff. We gave away a highly sought after bobblehead the Ken Danico Ghostbuster bobblehead, and you can look on eBay to see how much they are, how ridiculously overpriced. We try to do a good thing. We did, and we're going to try to continue and be more innovative and giving away stuff. And then one of these days, we're going to have trips. We're going to have, like our little Let's Go Devils podcast group, our little army going on.
So Tim just said he would buy me a draft. Tim, if you come to the live event, I'll switch that over. If you come to our live event at Mother's Ale House, I will buy you a beer. So if you come to the live draft, to the live event on either March 2nd or March 9th. What is it? Yeah.
Yeah.
You come to either one, Tim, and I'll buy you a beer.
And also, if you come to our live event, our live viewing party, our live podcast at Mother's Ale House on March 2nd, March 9th, don't ask me to buy you an IPA, because the last time I was asked to buy, was a Shorts guy an IPA? Was it you, Beer Baron? Yeah, and I accidentally ordered 6 by accident. And suddenly I got 6 IPAs by accident. And the freaking guy tells me, the bartender said, dude, you said 6.
Jersey Joe just asked us if we would do an NHL draft party. Let's make it this. All right, Joe and Sam, this is live, so we're going to pitch this idea right now. If the Devils are drafting top 3, we're doing a live event. What do you say?
Ooh.
And seriously, Tim, I'm not joking. If you show up, I will buy you a beer.
I bet you anything we're going head to head with the New Jersey Devils on that one. Which one would our fans go? You know what?
I don't care.
Who cares?
Maybe they'll invite us to do theirs. But either way,
yeah. This podcast do a New Jersey Devils event. You never know. You just never know.
And Tim, maybe before the season's over, maybe we should do we should get to as many people as we can on the podcast. We'll all purchase tickets together online at the same time, live on the podcast. We'll have our own little section, see how many of us we can get, and then we'll go to a game together.
I'll tell you what. You know what I want to do?
The logistics of that is a nightmare, but we could make it happen.
Well, you know what I want to do? I want, when this team gets better and the podcast gets bigger, we got to do group tickets at MSG or Philadelphia, and bring a road show where we travel to a venue on the road. So let's say we go to the Blarney Rock. We invaded that place years ago. And it was all Devils fans, probably like 70 Devils fans and 10 Ranger fans. And they're like, hey, what the heck is going on here? What is this, Hoboken? It's like
that New York accent's dead on, buddy.
No, Marc Messier, best captain ever.
The Rangers.
The Rangers. Are you going to Brian Noonan night? Because we're going to retire every jersey of that 94 team. You see what I can do at the Bunker Studio? I can be myself instead of talking. The Rangers. That's how I am, when I'm on location. But the 7-line army, that's exactly Joseph Gerald. I'm telling you. By the way, Joseph Gerald, I know you're a Mets fan because I see that. We had Todd Frazier of the New York Mets retweet one of our tweets late last night in the middle of a Twitter war between him and the guy from 101.5 FM, which we're not going to name names on this program. And with Shorts Guy and Beer Baron being proud.
I'm not a Mets fan, but I'm cool with Todd Frazier.
No, I'm talking about New Jersey public school teachers. Because basically, yeah. I gave him a shout out and this and that, and he retweeted it, which was cool. And you never know. We may have him on the program. Hopefully, he's a Devils fan. But you know who I want? Let me ask this question. I'm a big Mets fan, guys. Who I want on the podcast? I want Zach Wheeler. I heard he's a big Devils fan. And then there's also a political radio show guy. I forgot his name. Is Benson and Harf. The guy, last name Benson. I don't know anything about him. I think he's a conservative political, commentator, but he's a huge Devils fan. I kind of want to get him on as well. Oh yeah, it's like,
you know who else is? If you're big into wrestling, Edge from WWE is a huge Devils. Yeah.
Wow.
So there's a lot. It's funny because like you look it up, Alyssa Milano, Kevin Smith. There's a lot of celebrities out there.
Yeah, Alyssa Milano's been going crazy with the politics. Do you think we could get her on?
For quite some time. I would love to have her on.
Yeah, like Alyssa.
Let's talk a little hockey.
Yeah, let's stop talking about saving the world and politics right now.
What's your take on Taylor Hall?
Yeah. Yeah. What's your take on this? What's your take on that? Who's the boss right now? No pun intended.
And she's like, and she just stops and looks at you and goes, Bruce Springsteen, and you just say, all right, whatever.
I got the Royal Rumble while listening to you. That's great, Tim. Tim, hey, by the way, I like your stuff. I've been reading it as well. Got to read Tim's stuff. Also, if you want to go to Philly, we might wind up fighting their fans. Robert Manella, we do not provoke violence at all.
We do. I'm wearing a violent gentleman. I'm wearing a violent gentleman apparel right now. I totally endorse violence in that way.
Also, I mean, we've already had celebrities. Lacey Mark was on. That was all you, Baron. Yeah, from The Bachelor.
Joe Bartnick. My boy Joe Bartnick.
Yeah, Joe Bartnick. One day, I hope we get Jim Brewer on the program. Well, I went to Devils Rangers Game 6 in 2012 with Jim Brewer up in Section 208. I'm telling you, it was just when he was doing Ozzy impressions up there during the game, I was laughing hysterically. It was freaking awesome. Love that guy. So
Tim says there's a new article coming out tomorrow. Tim, your stuff is really good, by the way.
Yeah. And by the way, like, honestly, everybody in Facebook Live, all the Devils fans out there, the Devils may be tanking, but we're not tanking the second half of the season. We're going to make the most of it.
No.
Yeah. And I hope we get a road trip together. Could you imagine, like, 50 to 100 of us invade the Garden?
Ooh. Jersey Joe just said, what about Shaq? That would be... I'm not a huge basketball fan. I got to say this. I'm not a huge basketball fan. But growing up and the age that I am, Shaq was a huge part of our youth, I suppose, or whatever. I would love to have Shaq on the podcast.
Oh, absolutely.
Now it's going to become my mission to get Shaq on the podcast.
I may have a connection there, but I'll tell you offline. I have an indirect connection because somebody I went to high school.
Dude is hilarious.
Someone I went to high school with that I grew up with does commercials with him right now.
I could ask him about Shazam. I love Shaq.
Is Queen Latifah a Devils fan?
She might be. Is Ray Liotta a Devils fan? Will he talk about Chantix on our podcast?
You know what we got to do? We got to do one of we got to do a short shift podcast. Which celebrity is a Devils fan?
And we should start naming them all. Bruce Willis from New Jersey.
Danny DeVito. Peter King.
DeVito is because DeVito has done like those. Hey, let's go Devils.
Yeah.
God rest his soul. James Gandolfini used to do those.
Yeah.
And they were the best. Every time he showed up, everybody get pumped.
Remember the late Yogi Berra. The late Yogi Berra was a Devils fan. right?
A huge Devils fan, yeah.
Yeah, huge Devils fan. You guys, Redman's from Newark, okay?
Yeah,
Gotcha.
Redman. I'll be down for Redman.
Yeah. Bon Jovi. No, well, let's stay away from Bon Jovi.
But Bon Jovi was recently seen at a Rangers game, so
yeah,
it's questionable. Although I know he's partied with a bunch of the Devils, and he's a big Devils fan. So
we should have James Gandolfini's son on. That is a great idea, Joe. That is a great idea.
By the way, if you want to follow somebody good on Twitter, Jersey Joe. This boy knows his stuff.
Yeah.
Insightful.
Yeah.
He's smart. He's a good dude.
Obviously Kevin Smith, but we got to figure a way to locate him.
I met him a few times. I was on his show once.
You better invite him to the podcast.
I know.
Let's see who else. We'll have to dig deeper. Also, we're going to try to line up some A-list, well-known Devils alumni, back onto the show as well for the second half. Yeah,
let's get Marty on and just call it a day.
Marty, how's retirement treating you?
We should try to
do this paperwork.
We should try to reach out to Mike Rupp. He's a cool dude.
Yeah.
Jim Dowd.
Kevin Weeks.
Weeks would be awesome.
I did reach out to Erica Wachter. I'll do that again. That's going to be a great.
Betty Wap.
Yeah.
Okay. Brian Quinn is on the top of my list. Christopher Jacobs. Brian Quinn. Jacobus, whatever. I had to read that quick. Brian Quinn is on that is my favorite show on TV right now is Impractical Jokers, and I keep saying it. I'm like, I've tried to reach out to him a few times. If anybody knows how to reach Mr. Quinn, he is a diehard Devils fan, and he is one person I definitely want on this podcast.
Amanda Stein, Joseph. Yeah, you know what? What we wanted to do, we were trying to, create our own process when we started this podcast, that we were going to not just go big real quick. We wanted to earn our way in. I think we've earned our way to ask Amanda Stein onto the podcast.
We had Doc Emmerich on, for crying out loud.
Oh, yeah. Forgot about that.
And Chris Ryan, we've talked to Chris Ryan. Hopefully he has this in his book. So when he's free, he's another guy that's super busy. So whenever he finds free time, we'd love to have him on. Tim
writes Chris Christie, LOL. He's a Rangers fan. He's a Rangers fan. He's a Rangers fan. But B, we don't have a sponsor for that. I've been trying to talk to, I don't know,
we don't
Dunkin'
have a camera
Donuts.
wide enough to fill him in.
This is how big our camera is.
Walnuts. I hate that dude.
That's how big our camera is right there.
Yeah, that better.
I guess you don't like Chris Christie.
No.
But actually, let's see. French Montana. LOL. Hey, these are great ideas. We are getting our ideas through you, the viewers, the hardcore fans of the Let's Go Devils podcast, the most commented Devils podcast in the history of New Jersey Devils podcast. Mark my words, no podcast has the comments that we do. You may have the numbers, you may have the money, you may have better prizes, you may have a better background. Yeah, you may have a better background. You may have a better camera. You may be a better talker guy with the microphone.
Especially if you put it that way.
But you don't have as many comments as our fans do because they like to comment. And that's the Jersey way. And it's really three guys at a bar. You're just, come into our bar. Come into Facebook Live. In our little, at Let's Go Devils. At Let's Go Devils podcast. And if you want to bar hop, then go on Twitter. Go on YouTube Live. And if you really want to go to dive bar, go to Twitch and find us on Twitch. That's the biggest dive bar of social media to meet us and join in our conversation. Join in.
He said we should do a nice flag right there. I don't know what that means. He said we should do a 24-hour podcast, like straight. Dude, if we were doing that, it would be super interesting for like the first 2 hours, and then it would be really boring for like at least 8 hours. I would take at least 6 naps. Come on.
So I was trying to figure out how to convince Patrick Warburton to actually come on. David Putty to come on the podcast. We have to pitch kind of a charity. Imagine if we did a 24-hour, raising money for his favorite charity.
I legitimately
like a telethon.
In my early 20s, I'd be like, yeah, let's do this. But now in my life, I'd be like, I'm going to take 5 naps during this entire podcast. You'll see me just kind of like sit there and all of a sudden just drift into the background.
This podcast is in overtime right now, man.
Well, yeah, I know. Mike and the Mad Dog did it. Anyways.
One last thing. You know what was really funny? My good friend Bill Clement and I were talking one time. We were talking about radio hosts, and we were talking about Mike and the Mad Dog. I do a Mike Francesa impression. He does an amazing Chris Mad Dog Russo impression, and we went at it for about 5 minutes. It was fun. I gotta invite Bill to come on to the podcast and do that.
Better than OT here.
I never said that. I never said that.
That sounded like you with a New York accent.
I never said that.
Yeah. All right, my man.
Let's cue up.
Cue the music. We're getting a little delirious now.
Yeah, we're getting a little delirious. Now we're doing Mike and the Mad Dog, or I do my Joe Beningo impression. Hey, it's Joe Beningo, 660 Sports. It's an absolute disaster. An absolute disaster. The New Jersey Devils are absolute disaster. If you're gonna cheer for a team, cheer for the 94 Rangers. Bro.
Bro, that was not a good one. I like your impersonations just sound like you altering your voice somewhat.
Well, it's the microphone. I'm not really trying, but WFAN 6cc Sports. I want to talk about the Rangers. I don't really know. All right, let's close out the show. Let's close out the podcast. Yeah, I'm definitely in the bunker. My wife's probably watching this right now, taking notes. You're going way too long. You got to go to bed. I love my wife.
Man, I know.
She's awesome. She's awesome. So let's just cue up the music here. Yes. Let's start queuing up everything. You hear the music? I hear the music. Yep.
Hey, man, great podcast. It's always sad not having Shorts Guy here. I have to say he's doing God's work, though, coaching hockey. So in lieu of that, man, I got to say it's a lot of fun. But I'm looking forward to next week. We'll talk about that off air, what we're going to do. But, Super Bowl Sunday, it's going to be a good Sunday. Even though it's the GD Patriots playing again. But
yeah, there's probably going to be a time change for Super Bowl Sunday. Just check back during the week, and we'll make that announcement. Beer Baron, any last words?
I'm out of beer, and it's time to go to bed.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody. Thank you, Doug. Doug, Joseph, Gerald, Bobby, Joe, Tim, everybody. Thank you for participating. Oh, Let's Go Devils podcast. This is Sam Wu, Beer Baron, signing off. Till next time, let's go Devils.